Let me set the stage for you really quick. Your car just started making this awful growling noise. You're like, "Oh man, I don't get paid for 2 weeks. I just got paid yesterday on Friday. All my bills went to rent and groceries. I have no money. How am I going to get to work? How am I going to pay for my car?" All right, now that we have our settings set, I want to tell you why this video is important. So what we're going to be talking about is kind of two different things. A, your best practices for do-it-yourself car maintenance. Like what can you do at home that's going to save you a lot of money in the long run? It may cost a little bit upfront to do these repairs, to do these fluid changes, to do this maintenance. However, it's going to save you an engine. It's going to save you a transmission. It's going to save you a differential. It's going to save you a transfer case. You know, it's gonna, and maybe you don't know what those terms mean, but those are some very expensive parts that go wrong on a lot of vehicles that cost a lot of money. And I've seen put a lot of people in a really bad position because they go bad. They go bad. They either A, weren't taken care of, they were B, not built very well. They got it used and they didn't know how it was taken care of before, or it's just got high mileage. I mean, stuff breaks. It's not built to last forever. So what we're going to talk about is what can you do to save yourself some money, to save yourself some headaches in the future. And then on the flip side of that, some repairs, a lot of repairs, I would say the average person has the ability to do at home if they had a little bit of tools, if they had a very helpful tutorial, if they had, you know, a little bit of determination and perseverance to figure it out, to learn it. I mean, humans are capable a lot. You got to remember how much you're able to learn, how much you're able to retain. So you got to be confident in yourself. You have to have that information available, which most of that information is available on resources online, whether it's through videos, whether it's through blogs, you know, whatever it is, you can find that information. And, you know, you just have to be willing. You got to be willing to try. The other issue is figuring out what part is wrong. You know, my car started making this noise. My car stopped running. My car's smoking really bad out of the exhaust pipe, or whatever the long list of issues that people have with vehicles. You may not always know that this part is the part that needs to be changed to fix it unless it's obvious, like your brakes are grinding, or a ball joint's broken, or a tie rod's broken, or something like that where it's very obvious. That's where diagnostic comes into play. That's where experience comes into play. And that is the situations where I would say, for the most part, you have to take it to a shop. You have to take it, maybe not to a shop, to a certified mechanic, to somebody that knows what they're doing, somebody who has experience in the professional field. You know, it's going to save you a bigger headache in the long run than you just throwing a parts cannon at it, and then eventually having to take it to the mechanic anyway. However, if you have a part, yeah, I know that this is bad. My brakes, I could see it visually. This is bad. And you can go online. Yeah, I have a 2010, whatever your make and model is, I need to do front brakes. Well, you look that up, you're going to be able to find that, and you're going to be able to do it. You're just going to have to get the tools, you're going to have to get the parts, figure out exactly which parts you need, which it's a lot easier today with VINs and with parts stores. You give them your VIN, tell them, is it front wheel drive or all wheel drive, and they'll tell you the part that you need for the most part. And then you need a really good tutorial like what you would find on here in AutoFab's channel. Shameless little plug right there. But anyway, let's get into the meat of this video. What are we talking about? Best practices for DIY car maintenance. So this is not you're taking your car to your dealership every 20,000 miles, besides your oil change, to get fluid services, to get your parts that are up by maintenance intervals replaced. This is not that. This is what you can do at home to save yourself a big headache in the future. What you can do at home to save yourself from having to come see me as a mechanic. I mean, the less that you have to see me, the happier you are, and the happier you are, the more you're going to come back to see only me or tell other people to come see me. And then we're both happy and it works out. So, number one, biggest one, I know you've heard it before. Everybody says it, everybody preaches on it, but change your oil. I cannot tell you how many engines I've replaced, especially on GMs, especially on these newer engines that have a smaller engine, smaller capacity, and it's fed with a turbo that creates a lot of boost in the engine to create that extra power. Looking at the Chevy Cruzes, the 1.4 turbos, I've replaced countless engines on those because oil starvation issues. You don't change your oil regularly enough, you get buildup in your oil that plugs up your PCV system, and then your engine blows. It blows all your gaskets backwards because it plugs up, overpressurizes, and blows everything. Then you get an engine replacement, or you can rebuild it, but they're just not worth it to rebuild. And that's just one example. I can give you another one with another Chevy, the 5.3. They kind of fail regardless, but if you change your oil a lot better and you take care of your truck, you're a lot less likely to see it fail. But it's the active fuel management that is placement on demand, or cylinder shut off, as most people know it. So when you're driving down the expressway, your truck will actually like shut off. What it does is it stops pushing fuel to 4 cylinders, and it stops pushing them lifters up and down so that your valves will stop opening up and down on 4 different like intake and exhaust parts of your cylinders. What that does is it saves you a lot of gas. I mean, it does work. It saves you like 5 to 10 miles per gallon on the expressway. So it does work. But the problem with it is that it's such a specifically designed system that the oil feed that goes to those lifters, it gets plugged up constantly because it's got really, really small ports. And if you don't change your oil very often, it is like guaranteed to fail, and you're gonna have to rebuild your engine, change your lifters, or you're gonna probably your cam too, or you're gonna have to replace an engine. And in my personal experience, I would not recommend replacing the engine in that case. The work is more than worth it to fix that LS. But there's 2 big examples right there of just why you should change your oil, because if you don't, that's $5,000-$6,000 jobs you're talking to get that fixed, or $5,000-$6,000 to replace your vehicle. So change your oil. Number 2, fluid services. You may think that your mechanics are just trying to screw you over, they're just trying to get a dime out of you, but I can assure you fluid services matter. They are important. Fluid is not lifelong. I don't care what the manufacturers say about any transmission, about the CVT specifically, is not lifelong. That fluid, what transmission fluid does is it actually breaks down metallic parts. So over time, you get a bunch of little metallic gritties in them fluid, and your transmission typically has a filter, or I guess always has a filter. But once that filter plugs up with all the metallic pieces and it's no longer letting proper flow of transmission fluid go through, you're going to have shifting issues. Or if that filter plugs up and then it breaks and all that metal goes into your transmission, you just bought yourself a new transmission. So the same applies for a transfer case or a rear differential, front differential. Fluid services are crucial to keeping your vehicle running top notch. They truly are. I can't recommend it enough. Another big thing is what goes into your fuel system. Fuel is very, very important, and not all gas is made the same. Some gas stations, your gas will have 12 to 18% ethanol content, and if you test it, it'll have 4 to 5% water content. Other gas stations will be like 3 to 9% ethanol content with 1% water. You know, I've tested a few different ones. I used to race motocross, so we had to put like the best gas in our bikes, otherwise we were messing them up. So we tested it, went through and found, you know, a bunch of different gas stations that actually have better gas than the others, and ones that I won't ever use. Now, does that mean you should test every gas station that you go to and get a fuel tester and look at it? No. What that means is if you are going to a gas station every single day, and you're going to a gas station every single week, every single month, and you notice that your car's starting to bog down and starting to run a little worse, probably should change your gas station. You might then want to consider testing it. You might want to then consider adding a fuel additive or an octane booster to your fuel to get that stuff to burn through, to get it to go through them ports. Which brings me to my final one. Cars are meant to be driven. They truly are. They're not meant to be ragged on the whole time. So I'm not saying go balls to the wall, go pedal to the metal constantly. But when you get on the expressway, your car is meant to, and it has the ability to hit 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 RPMs comfortably. Now, should it stay there? No, it should not. But what that does is it creates travel and it creates load in your engine. So then that buildup is getting pushed out of the way. It's getting cleaned out of the way, and it's not going to stick. It's not going to continue to build up. So drive your car. Not like you stole it, but don't always drive it and keep it under 2,000 RPMs. Don't always drive it, keep it under 3,000 RPMs because you will have issues. It's a lot different now with fuel injection than with carburation because your computers literally read how much fuel to spit into your cylinders. However, it's still not burning at its correct hotness. It still has fuel buildup and gunk buildup on the injectors. It still has not the correct amount of fuel. Well, never an excess amount of fuel in the cylinders to burn off. So it's like, it's definitely a good idea. Get on your vehicle every now and again, drive it, get up to speed nice and quick. I'm not saying go 100 because that is illegal. Do not do that. I did not give that opinion. All I'm saying is to drive it, man. Drive how it was meant to be driven. But yeah, those are my big three. Drive your car, change your oil, and change your fluids. If you do that, your vehicle will last you. I mean, that just doing that alone can get you an extra 100,000. If you want me to make a separate video on how I recommend taking care of like your frame and a rust belt or suspension parts or anything like that, I can definitely make a separate video on that. So drop that in the comments. Let me know. Hit that subscribe button, and probably put that out tomorrow or the next day. But yeah, do those things, and you'll have to see me less. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys later.